आज की वीडियो में हम पढ़ेंगे +1 अकाउंटेंसी का चैप्टर नंबर 13 रिजर्व एंड प्रोविज़न इन ऑर्डर टू स्ट्रेंथन द फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन ऑफ बिजनेस विद द व्यू ऑफ मीटिंग ऑल इवेंचुअलिटीज both expected and unexpected. It desirable that out of the current year profit some portion should be kept as fund so that it can be used for the future the meeting the known and unknown liability. There are two ways to arrange the fund of current year profit: reserve and provision. Reserve is the fund made for the unknown liability and losses in the future. रिजर्व वो आपके वो होते हैं जो वो फंड होते हैं जो हम जिन लाइबिलिटीज़ और लॉसेस के बारे में हमें पता नहीं होता उसके लिए जो हम फंड बचा के रखते हैं. विलियम पेकल्स reserve mean the amount set aside out of profit and other surpluses which are not earmarked in the way to meet any particular liability known to exist on the date of balance sheet. The main objective to make the reserve to increase the working capital of the business and strengthen the financial position of business. If reserves are invested outside the business, then they are called the reserve fund. जब हम रिजर्व को आउटसाइड में बिजनेस के आउटसाइड में उनको इन्वेस्ट कर देते हैं तो उसको रिजर्व फंड कहते हैं. एग्जांपल ऑफ रिजर्व हमारे कितने टाइप के होते हैं: जनरल रिजर्व, कैपिटल रिजर्व, कॉन्टीजेंसी रिजर्व, डिविडेंड इक्वलाइजेशन रिजर्व, etc. Since the amount of reserve is transferred for divisible profit, so they are recorded in profit and loss appropriation account. Feature of reserve: it is created out of the net profit or divisible profit. Therefore, reserve are also termed as the retained earning or undistributed profit. इसको हम नेट प्रॉफिट या डिविजिबल जो आपका प्रॉफिट होता है उसमें से बनाते हैं और ये रिजर्व हमेशा ही आपके रिटेन अर्निंग या अनडिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड प्रॉफिट भी इनको माना जाता है. क्रिएशन ऑफ रिजर्व इज नॉट लीगल नेसेसिटी, इट इज़ क्रिएटेड वॉलेंट्री. ये नेसेसिटी नहीं है, इसको आप अपने ऐच्छिक रूप से बना सकते हैं. रिजर्व इज क्रिएटेड द स्ट्रेंथन द फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन ऑफ द बिजनेस एंड मीटिंग द anticipated situation in the future. Reserve is created unknown liability. When amount of reserve invested outside the business is called the reserve fund. Reserve belong to the proprietor just capital. It is shown in the liability side of the balance sheet. Importance of reserve. Importance इसकी रहती है strengthen the financial position of the business. The financial position of business is strong. The business has enough reserve because reserve provide money for expansion of business. A company cannot pay the dividend out of a reserve. रिजर्व में से कंपनी डिविडेंड को पे नहीं कर सकती और डिविडेंड वो इंटरेस्ट होता है जो शेयर्स के ऊपर दिया जाता है. हेल्पफुल इन द मीटिंग फॉर अनफोरसीन liability or losses future. If any unforeseen or abnormal losses arise in the future, reserve can be utilized to meet the such eventualities. Equalization of dividend over the year. The director of the company tried to maintain uniform rate of dividend and to increase it steadily. In the year when the profit is more, directors transfer some profit to dividend equalization fund, and the year when the profit are less, directors pays same rate of dividend by utilizing the amount of already transferred to the fund. Reserve for specific purpose. Sometimes reserve is created for the specific purpose, such as the debenture redemption fund for the redemption of debenture. It does not affect the financial position of the business. अब आते हैं आपके प्रोविज़न. प्रोविज़न एनी अमाउंट रिटर्न और ऑल द रिटेन बाय द वे ऑफ अरेंजमेंट ऑफ डेप्रिसिएशन, रिन्यूअल ऑफ diminution in the value of asset retained by the way of providing any liability which is amount cannot be determination of substantial accuracy. Example of provision: provision for taxation, provision for bad debts, provision for discount on debtor, provision for depreciation, provision for repair and renewals, provision for fluctuation in investment. अब प्रोविजन के फीचर आते हैं. प्रोविजन क्रिएटेड टू द मीट अननोन नोन लाइबिलिटी, जो हमें पता है कि हमारी लाइबिलिटीज हो सकती हैं. द लाइबिलिटी नोन बट अमाउंट ऑफ सच लाइबिलिटी कैन नॉट बी डिटरमाइंड विद द रीजनेबल accuracy. For example, it almost certain the sum debts will be proved irrecoverable, but the exact amount of bad debts cannot be predicted with the certainty. Provision is charged against the profit and such reduce the profit for the year in which it is created. The loss when actually occur will be written in against the provision and thus the profit of the year in such a loss will loss occur will not be affected.